Hey friends, welcome to Ivy's Fortress. I'm Ashante, your reading friend, and we have Corduroy by Don Freeman. Now this book had a 40th anniversary edition in 2008. So this gold sticker right here, or what do you call it, stamp, isn't as relevant in 2023. However, this is such a classic, and I haven't read this book since I was a child in elementary school. So I'm so excited to pick it up because I don't know what's different about it. It says it has 8 pages of never before seen material. So I'm excited, and I hope you can share the excitement with me. Now, let's get our friends' fingers ready and sing our welcome song so we can get reading. 1, 2, 3, go. Hey there, friends. Hey there, friends, welcome to Ivy's Fortress. Hey there, friends, welcome to Ivy's Fortress. I'm glad that you are here with us. I'm happy that you're near. Come along for our adventure, it'll bring you lots of cheer. Hey there, friends, welcome to Ivy's Fortress. Hey there, friends, welcome to Ivy's Fortress. All right. So, Corduroy by Don Freeman. Let's read our inside cover so I can share with you what this book is about. Corduroy is a bear who once lived in the toy department of a big store. Day after day, he waited with all the other animals and dolls for somebody to come along and take him home. So begins Don Freeman's tale about a bear in search of a home and a girl in search of a friend. Since 1968, this charming story has found its way into the homes and hearts of children all over the world, becoming a best-loved classic. So are you excited? Man, I remember having my favorite stuffed animals and bear friends, and I know my daughter's going through that phase too, so this is a great book to support your secure attachments with those lovey-dovey stuffed animals. Plush animals. Corduroy, story and pictures by Don Freeman. The Viking Press in New York published this book. Corduroy is a bear who once lived in the toy department of a big store. Day after day, he waited with all the other animals and dolls for somebody to come along and take him home. The store was always filled with shoppers buying all sorts of things, but no one ever seemed to want a small bear in green overalls. That one morning, a little girl stopped and looked straight into Corduroy's bright eyes. "Oh, Mommy," she said, "look, there's the very bear I've always wanted." "Not today, dear," her mother sighed. "I've spent too much already. Besides, he doesn't look new. He's lost the button to one of his shoulder straps." Some of the best things are not new. Food for thought. Corduroy watched them sadly as they walked away. "I didn't know I'd lost the button," he said to himself. "Tonight I'll go and see if I can find it." Late that evening, when all the shoppers had gone and the doors were shut and locked, Corduroy climbed carefully down from his shelf and began searching everywhere on the floor for his lost button. Hopefully he doesn't get lost. Suddenly, he felt the floor moving under him. Quite by accident, he had stepped onto an escalator and up he went. Could this be a mountain? He wondered. I think I've always wanted to climb a mountain. Silly bear. He stepped off the escalator as it reached the next floor And there before his eyes was a most amazing sight. Tables and chairs, and lamps and sofas, and rows of beds. This must be a palace, Corduroy gasped. I guess I've always wanted to live in a palace. He wandered around, admiring the furniture. This must be a bed, he said. I've always wanted to sleep in a bed. And up he crawled onto a large, thick mattress. All at once, he saw something small and round. Why, here's my button, he cried, and he tried to pick it up. But like all the other buttons on the mattress, it was tied down tight. He yanked and pulled with both paws until pop, off came the button, and off the mattress Corduroy toppled. Bang into a tall floor lap. Over it fell with a crash. Oh no. Corduroy didn't know it, but there was someone else awake in the store. The night watchman was going his rounds on the floor above. When he heard the crash, he came dashing down the escalator. Now who in the world did that? He exclaimed. Somebody must be hiding around here. He flashed his light under and over sofas and beds until he came to the biggest bed of all. And there he saw 2 fuzzy brown ears sticking up from under the cover. Hello, he said. How did you get upstairs? The watchman tucked Corduroy under his arm and carried him down the escalator and set him on the shelves in the toy department with the other animals and dolls. Corduroy was just waking up when the first customers came into the store in the morning, and there, looking at him with a wide, warm smile, was the same little girl he'd seen only the day before. I'm Lisa, she said, and you're going to be my very own bear. Last night, I counted what I saved in my piggy bank, and my mother said I could bring you home. Shall I put him in a box for you? The saleslady asked. Oh, no, thank you, Lisa answered, and she carried Corduroy home in her arms. She ran all the way up 4 flights of stairs into her family's apartment and straight to her own room. Corduroy blinked. There was a chair and a chest of drawers, and alongside a girl-sized bed stood a little bed just the right size for him. The room was so small, nothing like that enormous palace in the department store. This must be home, he said. I know I've always wanted a home. Lisa sat down with Corduroy on her lap and began to sew a button on his overalls. I like you the way you are, she said, but you'll be more comfortable with your shoulder strap fastened. You must be a friend, said Corduroy. I've always wanted a friend. Me too, said Lisa, and gave him a big hug. This is the bonus content they were talking about. Well, that's the end of the story, but I will read the bonus content to share with you guys. But the last page, oh, it gave me so many chills. It made me feel so good inside because sometimes I feel like the most secure attachments we have are with the material things, whether it's our clothes or shoes, stuffed animals, plush animals that somebody bought from us from a trip somewhere or remind us that they're thinking about us. Man, I've had so many stuffed animals in my childhood that people would bring to me from trips or visits. When my mom was in the army, she would bring me stuffed animals, whether they were dressed like army bears or just little plush animals that would make me feel good inside, and I would sleep with them all the time, every night, consistently. So sometimes we shouldn't involve ourselves with the most materialistic attachments in the world. However, things that have meaning usually make us feel good and they give us great memories. So hold your teddy bears tight tonight and remind yourself that they are thinking of you in their own way, their own non-living way, the same way you're thinking of them and the memories that they have fostered for you. So let's read the bonus content because you know I can get to talking. Corduroy by Don Freeman. Here's a picture of the cover page. Don Freeman wrote the first draft of Corduroy in 1967. That's a special year to me. He sent several versions of the manuscript to his editor at Viking Junior Books, Annie Duff, before the story was finished. Her notes and advice helped shape the final version of the book, which you hold in your hands now. So here is like the first few copies of what his manuscript of Corduroy looks like. And his editor made lots of notes, maybe about punctuation, grammar, word choice, which we like to call diction sometimes, alternative words, alternative meanings, just other options to make the book a little bit more spazzier. Notes. Here is an early draft of the manuscript from notes, so this right here. And then Don Freeman showed his editor artwork for the book at every stage. Here is a letter he sent accompanying some early sketches. Let's see. Oh, this is a letter he wrote to his publisher. But here is a picture of one of the first few corduroy burriers. Right here. How cute. Here are several sketches from Corduroy. Looks like they didn't change much. They maybe got a little bit more refined or detailed, but still very much the same. Great artistic skill being expressed. Don Freeman and his wife Lydia lived in Santa Barbara, California, and Annie Duff lived and worked in New York City, so they didn't get to meet in person very often. Instead, they sent letters back and forth. Don and his editor were very friendly, as you can see from their correspondence. Annie was extremely enthusiastic about Corduroy. So here, because they lived in cities across the country from each other, because California is on the west coast of the United States and New York is on the east coast of the United States, they had to write a lot of letters to communicate about the book, because in the 1960s and 70s, they didn't have cell phones like we have now that could easily communicate. So their letters would go back and forth and would take a few days to reach to where they needed to go. And can you imagine sending a letter across the country, how long it would take? I don't know if they were sending mail by airplane then. I honestly don't know how mail was getting transferred then and how long it took. But it was definitely not much like overnight shipping that we have today. So talk about a passionate read. Here is a letter Don Freeman sent to Annie Duff to let her know the artwork he painted for Corduroy was in the mail. From this letter, you can tell that Don Freeman put a lot of thought into how his art would look once it was printed. Let's see. So this letter right here is handwritten. I'm going to read it to you because it seems like he was super passionate about sharing original artwork for Corduroy. Dear Annie, the completed color work for Corduroy is flying toward you this morning, and I hope by this time you read this, you'll have seen the results. As you notice, I painted in the title on a clean acetate directly on the jacket itself. Sorry, I'm not much of a cursive reader. I feel confident that this will come out effectively. Obviously, the book has now taken on a brighter and more colorful look, which is what you visualized. I feel it. The story has been enhanced by the switch, but only the painting can tell us. Let's press on. as Clyde would say. Love, Don. That's a sweet message. So basically, like, that message right there is if you send an attachment in an email, like your parents may send a business attachment with maybe documents attached or some type of another format like a PDF. If you send that in an email, then sometimes you may send a reminder like, hey, I hope you got my attachment or my PDF. That's kind of the same thing what Don was doing there. It was just making sure that his artwork was going to reach her and she would let him know that, hey, I didn't get your artwork, or yes, I got it, thanks. This is a Western Union telegram Don Freeman sent to express his feelings about the printing of Corduroy. He had a few concerns, but overall he was very pleased. So this is a telegram, and it goes in the mail like this. It looks just like this. Man, times have changed. Now, when Don Freeman died in 1978, rest in peace, during a trip to New York City, the world lost a brilliant children's book author and illustrator, and Don's many friends and colleagues lost a fun-loving, generous man who brought excitement and magic with him wherever he went. So, here are some of the news articles, which was like social media before social media was in apps in our phone. But some of the news articles you see here are highlighting Don Freeman's work and Don Freeman as a children's book author. And here's a picture of him here sketching out one of his books. Let's read a little bit about him. Don Freeman, 1908 to 1978, was born in San Diego and moved to New York City to study art, making his living as a jazz trumpeter. One night, he was so engrossed in sketching the people on the subway, he left his trumpet behind. It was at this point, he decided to turn his talents to art full time. At the time of his death, the Chicago Tribune said, Don Freeman was one of those fortunate who could draw and write with the same warm charm and simple directions that a child instantly responds to. And I think that's why this book has been a classic for so many years. Because it just reminds you of your relationship that you have with your stuffed animals and your plush toys. So, hey, keep those attachments, keep having imaginative play. I encourage you to keep on discovering what life is like when you're learning to love yourself, learning to indulge in those memories that people gifted you and shared with you when they thought of you. So, get your corduroy and have a good time. If you can't, check out this book though. You would love to read it with your mom and your family. Okay? Well, that's all I have for you guys today because I'm sure I talked plenty. So catch you next time.